Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Happening with Jorge Shaft on Relaks Radio. I have been talking about two stories so far. I've talked about the Plymouth kind of mass shooting that happened. Very tragic, but hey, at least it's only 10 years in the UK and not more often. And I also talked about how in the US, the sex pest governor is gone. Everybody do the dance now. But let's go and talk about another story, a bit more substance. I know this is going to be like the quintessential, nerdy man kind of thing, but I really do have a thing for, kind of infrastructure, just the sort of bare basics, the kind of what is government doing for people? Answer this. And I'm going to start with a story that will seem, kind of, as is. You'll see in a moment that there's a very kind of poignant connection to this, I've noticed. So let's start. Independent. Story title. India's Modi to unveil $1.35 trillion infrastructure plan. Okay. India's Prime Minister says his government will soon launch a $1.35 trillion national infrastructure plan that will boost the country's economy. He announced it on Sunday as part of Independence Day celebrations. Wearing a flowing, bright, saffron-colored turban, Modi addressed the nation from New Delhi's 17th century Mughal-era Red Fort to mark the 74th anniversary of India's independence from British rule. He said that the infrastructure plan will create jobs for millions of Indian youth. It will help local manufacturers turn globally competitive and also develop possibilities for new future economic zones in the country. A timely thing, too, considering the fact that India's economy has fallen by more than 7% since March of 2020. And, for understandable reasons, the pandemic was going around killing everyone. The Delta variant and the India variant of COVID-19 have been horrific on the nation. But I think this story is interesting for a variety of reasons. And I think that it's also a fairly informative story for a bunch of reasons. First of all, there's the fact that the number seems so large, but when you think about like India's scale, it's actually not so huge. I mean, 1.35 trillion. Okay, sure. Don't get me wrong. That's a lot of power grids, roads, bridges that you can build. But how much is it really? Like at the moment in Britain, we're building HS2, a high-speed railway line. And it's cost, 80 billion, was it, to build so far? And now, granted, I blast that even as just, that's too expensive, it's, incompetent, it's a stupid amount. But if tens of billions of pounds get spent building one railway line, or if that's like a possibility, then an infrastructure bill of 1.35 trillion actually isn't like that much. But the thing that I really think really is informative is just the fact that it's just being reported as like almost like a fait accompli, like it's already going to happen. Like the Prime Minister's gone up in the Red Fort and he said, "Hey everybody, I'm going to put down like a lot of money to build like some roads, and I'm going to give like lots of people jobs in the process. And it's going to be great because, we're India and we have like a problem with, old roads. We still use like British colonial era railway lines. A lot of them not even like maintained properly. We need to do something about that." And there's a pretty reasonable expectation that it's going to happen. Like, yeah, okay. It's going to go to, The Indian Parliament's going to go, yeah, no, it's an obviously good idea. Click, done. But there's a very similar bill that's actually just been passed as well. And we can see this in The Guardian, published on Thursday, and it was titled, "What Does Biden's Infrastructure Bill Tell Us About the Health of US Democracy?" Is Washington functional? Asked The Guardian in that article. This week would seem to suggest that the answer is a resounding and surprising yes. On Tuesday, 69 senators, 19 Republicans, and 50 Democrats passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Framework, a $1 trillion bill that invests in everything from roads and bridges to electric grids and public transit. This was the kind of bill many observers in American politics never thought would be possible in 2021. A major new piece of legislation that won support from both parties and will concretely improve people's lives. The president, his staff, and his allies were rightly proud of their big deal. But, later in the article it mentions, in a functional political process, a major infrastructure bill like this would never have been passed during Joe Biden's presidency, because it would have been passed far earlier. As far back as 1998, the American Society of Civil Engineers gave America's infrastructure a grade of D, which has barely improved in the years since. I think they call it now a D+. In 2007, a deadly bridge collapse in Minneapolis brought the issue of infrastructure funding to the foreground. And in 2008, both parties spoke about the importance of fixing crumbling roads, bridges, and highways. Even the Trump administration, with its endless parade of infrastructure weeks, acknowledged the issue of the importance of the issue, even as they failed to address it. I think it kind of shows, the sort of differences, if you will, of, I guess the way to put it is between like a rising power and a declining one. I mean, it's pretty much the same deal. Like, it's $1 trillion going to roads and bridges. Like, let's not pretend it's like anything like super kind of fancy or, oh my God, it's literally, okay, it literally is just, here's a lot of money, we're going to build some bridges with it. Simple. Yet, look at the difference already. In India, the Prime Minister makes a speech and says, hey, we're going to build this big old, all these big old bridges and roads. It's going to be awesome. We're going to make lots of jobs. And everyone's like, yeah, no, good idea. Thumbs up, let's do that. We've got problems, we need to build roads. Good stuff. Yet in America, in the United States, the president has gone up to the podium and said, yeah, we should build roads. Here's $1 trillion, let's do that. And the result was has been more than a decade of just blocking, infighting, just kind of stalled progress with basically nothing happening. Their own Society of Civil Engineers kind of sat back and went like, no, yep, it's a great D. We're actually in a really bad state. Hey guys, do you remember that bridge that like collapsed and like a bunch of people died because they're on the bridge? Yeah, maybe we should do something about that. Oh, what? No, okay. And then finally, like decades later, they finally got round to pass the super simple $1 trillion infrastructure bill to fix up, crumbling roads. It really tells you something, doesn't it? None of it good about America. India seems to be doing all right there. I mean, they've got their problems, but hey, at least this isn't one of them. But what do you think? Do you think that I'm, making too much light of it? Maybe I'm missing the fact that, some incredibly hard, intricate battle is going to be fought over the let's pay for some roads bill. Either way, you are very, very welcome to contact the studio. my I always make a point to read the comments, and have fun. But in the meantime, I think I should let some other people have a chat. Yeah. I like this idea. These other people, very sane, very sensible. They've got a lot of good things to say. A lot of them even affiliated with Relaks Radio. So catch you all again very, very soon.
We've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what their company does or how valuable their company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? Because in a public company where the stock is traded openly on the stock exchange, the value